Welcome Home, a podcast for veterans about veterans by veterans, is a project of Willing Warriors and the Warrior Retreat at Bull Run.
Good morning. I'm your host, Larry Ziliox, Director of Culinary Services here at Warrior Retreat at Bull Run. And this week, our guest is Alex McKindra. He's a managing director at JPMorgan Chase Banking, and he co-leads their veteran initiative. I asked him to join us to talk about their programs, and they have some wonderful programs for veterans that they hire and also that they reach out to in the community to help build their businesses. So, Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me here today. Much appreciated.
So, you are prior service Air Force, and I usually take this time to berate guests about why they joined the Army or the Navy when they could have joined the Air Force. So we don't have to do that for you. Tell us a little bit about why you joined the Air Force and what that was like for you.
Oh, sure. And first and foremost, thanks again for having me today. Very much appreciated. So I served in the Air Force for years, following my graduation from West Point. And part of why for joining the military, going to West Point and serving the Air Force is that serving veterans is really important to me personally based on my family history. After the Civil War, my great-great-grandfather, Reuben Frank McKindra, and his two brothers relocated to Central Arkansas to take advantage of a program which actually former Black slaves purchased farmland. Over time, with help from others, he was able to maintain the land and actually grow it. And then he eventually paid it forward to others in the community by providing jobs and building a schoolhouse so everyone in the community could have access to quality education. So I want to pay it forward to the military of that community, and that's my why.
Wow. And what did you do in the Air Force?
So in the Air Force, I was a defense procurement officer, and I was stationed at Wright Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and then in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. 2 assignments. Which did you prefer?
They were both equally fun, and it was just really fun when I was in LA to focus on the B-2 bomber program because I learned by working with very talented colleagues.
So what made you decide to get out and not make it a 20-year career?
Well, when I was in the Air Force, I had the opportunity to get my MBA on evenings and weekends at USC, and I was just really intrigued with what I learned about banking and corporate finance. So then when I left the Air Force, I was fortunate enough to receive a lot of help. I mean, a lot of help from fellow military veterans of working on Wall Street. And they helped me with things from resume building to prepping for interviews, and most importantly, gaining access to job interviews. So I would not be here right now without the help from others.
Right. How did your transition go for you?
It was not easy because, again, I was coming from the force, and I came from a family history of military veterans, and no one in my family history had ever been on Wall Street. So I had to rely on others to sort of educate me on different career paths and to get in. And again, that's why it's so helpful, so important for me to give back to the community, because I would not be here without the help from many others.
Wow. Well, tell us about the incentives and the different programs that JPMorgan Chase has. I know you have some really great partnerships out there, but let's kind of start with the one that I think gets the most attention is your CEOcircle. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works and what it actually is?
Sure. So CEOcircle is a 12-month program where we work very closely with veteran CEOs. We help them grow their businesses through both mentorship and education. We are very fortunate enough to partner on CEOcircle with Syracuse University based on our shared goal of empowering the entire vet community. And why that's important to me is that after World War II, 50% or one of every 2 veterans took off the uniform and started a business. However, only 5% of military vets have chosen to do so since 9/11. So our goal is to do everything we can to help change that equation and help vet companies.
And at Syracuse, you all partner with, and I know that JP JPMorgan is a big donor for the Anello Institute.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. I know our local listeners would probably recognize that name from the co-founder of Carlyle Group here in D.C. But so the cohort each year, you have a number of CEOs from companies that exist. So it's not for veterans who are thinking about starting a business. These are individuals, these are veterans that have already started a business and have just come up against a wall, or why are they, what are they seeking out when they reach out to you? What do they need?
That's a great question. So I think it was back in 2021, we realized that more opportunities need to exist for mid-sized veteran business owners. So we teamed up with Syracuse University's Danielle Institute to create the CEOcircle program that exists today. And to be eligible, you have to be a military veteran or military spouse, and selection criteria includes your potential for growth. And if CEOs who are vets want to learn more and apply, I would highly encourage them to go to the Syracuse IVMF website. Again, that's IVMF, which stands for Institute for Veterans and Military Syracuse.edu, and look for CEOcircle. And applications for our upcoming cohort close on June 12th. So please apply now and don't wait.
Well, listeners, we'll have that link in our show notes, so it'd be easy for you to find. And also, to listeners, if you're interested in the Institute there at Syracuse University, we did an episode with Ray Towenson, who's their veteran rep up there at the Institute back in season 3. Episode 95. So you can go back and listen to that episode and our discussion with him with what the Institute does, all they have to offer, and we'll have a direct link in there to the CEOcircle there at the Institute, so you can find out more about it. And they would apply through that link there, or is there another process for that?
You're correct, sir. If they could apply, they can apply through the link on the Syracuse IVMF website.
Mm-hmm. So what do you see is, let's just say as a group collectively, what's the number one thing that they come to the CEOcircle with needing help with the most?
So I would say 3 things. First of all, they need help with finding community. As we all know, you can't build something by yourself. You need mentors, advisors, and helpers. Secondly, they need help with looking for ways to up-tier their business plan and make sure that it prioritizes innovation and technology adoption to drive growth. And third, we find that they're seeking advice on how to optimize their capital structure and pursue acquisitions to help their companies grow. And the great news is that all that and more they can get from CEOcircle.
And do you find that their needs are a little bit different for the spouses as opposed to the veteran service member?
Pretty similar. And again, I feel very passionate about this because vets and their spouses and their dependents have sacrificed a lot for the country. So it's the least we can do to help them out. And for a lot of both veterans and their spouses, they've been serving our countries, sometimes employed overseas. So they have not had the opportunity and time to get the MBA. So our goal is through CEOcircle is to supplement that learning and help with their growth.
Are there particular types of companies that veterans have started that lend themselves better to this program, or does it really matter?
It doesn't really matter. All across the board are very welcome. We've had companies that work in the aerospace and defense space, as you'd imagine, just based on the military service, but also consumer products, healthcare, you name it, all across the board are welcome.
Is there a particular size? Are you looking for a company that has to employ at least 100 people, or is there some sort of parameter for the the size of the company or what type of company it needs to be?
I would say ideally the company has at least $1 million to $5 million of revenues. Although we've had companies with as much as $100 million of revenue that have definitely benefited from the program. And again, it's important if they're a military veteran or spouse have the desire to grow and learn from each other. Because in addition to the great content we have in the program, which includes how they can access capital and they also receive one-on-one mentorship. They also learn from each other. I mean, these CEOs and spouses, these vets and their spouses are very accomplished. They know their industries, but again, they want to find community. And so by coming to CEOcircle, they can learn from others, in addition to some really great speakers on stage.
So what's the size of the cohort each year?
It's varied each year, but typically it's around 70.
So right off the bat, you almost have a network of 70 other veteran companies that you can reach out to in your industry or in a similar industry, or just straight up right there. You've got a new tribe.
You're right. You have a tribe, a community, and even more, Larry, because in addition to the 70 members of each cohort, there are also over 250 alumnus. They're also willing to lean in and give a hand.
So it's sort of a built-in mentor program.
It is. It's an incredible community in which many great veterans and their spouses learn from each other, in addition to benefiting from some really good content.
And is this a in-person program? Is this a Zoom program? Or is this a combination thing? How does it work?
It's the best of both worlds. So we have 4 in-person 2-day conferences a year. And then in addition to that, between each conference, there are several opportunities to learn and network over Zoom each and every month of the year.
And it's a year program, is that correct?
Yes, it's a 12-month program.
Okay. Are there, let me ask you this too. It's not for everybody. Not only, you all have limited resources. The cohorts can only be so big. So what about veterans who don't have a company, but they're interested in getting into finance or the banking industry? What do you see as an ideal candidate there? I mean, I don't think that the veteran who was an EOD specialist and thrived on that adrenaline is really an ideal candidate for a bank setting. But I mean, who's that veteran that you're looking for at JPMorgan Chase?
That's a great question. From my experience, military veterans are uniquely qualified for any career fields, to include banking, based on their grit, attention to detail, and focus on strategy. So I would welcome any veteran who's interested in learning more about opportunities to go to the JPMorgan Careers website, because we have several programs which help veterans transition into JPMorgan. 2 of which that are top of mind are the Military Pathways program, in which we work very closely with veterans who have been in the service and help them transition into JPMorgan. It's a 2-year program. And then secondly, it's a program called SkillBridge, in which we work with actually members of the military who are about to leave over a 12-week program. We help them put their toe in the water and learn more about banking, just to make sure that this is the right career for them.
Well, listeners, too, if you're active duty, that SkillBridge program is really a wonderful program. It benefits you as a service member trying to decide what career path you might be interested in. It gives you a chance to test the waters, so to say. We've seen it with, I know some restaurants here locally have brought in military chefs, and basically the military pays the salary for them to be there working. So it benefits the business, but it also gives that service member a chance to see what it's like. And especially with JPMorgan Chase in banking, there's a number of different ways you can go once you're in the organization, from commercial banking and, loans and just all sorts of career paths just within one company. The other thing I'd like to point out to listeners too is that Alex is a managing director. And so that's the equivalent probably of a full bird colonel. He's above an executive director, but right below the generals, which means that's a pretty serious commitment on the part of JPMorgan Chase to put somebody at that level in charge of veteran initiatives. It's not like some companies where the CEO happens to be in the lunchroom and says, "Hey, you over there, weren't you in the Air Force? Oh, okay. You're in charge of veteran initiatives. Thanks for your service." And I think that goes a long way to show how JPMorgan Chase really values veterans and what they understand actually what veterans bring to the table. So I really think that's commendable, Alex, that JP Morgan has really taken such a strong interest in not only the programs you have in-house, but working with Syracuse University. I know that you all are a major donor and supporter of that program there too.
Thank you for saying that. And as an employee, I'm extremely proud of how vested JP Morgan is and how they're laser focused on making an impact on the broader military veteran community. I'm very proud to serve here.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. I know you're a busy guy, so I just really have one more question for you. Are there any veteran initiatives, new veteran initiatives, you would like to see JP Morgan Chase institute in the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
Well, as I said before, JP Morgan is laser focused on making impact on the military veteran community. We like to call the 3 E's of employment, entrepreneurship, and education. On the employment front, we lead the Vets Job Mission and have partnered with other corporations to create over 1 million jobs for military vets and their spouses. On the front of entrepreneurship, again, we're very closely with Syracuse University on CEOcircle to help vet companies grow. And then on the education front, we are training vets on important topics such as how to gain access to capital, and we provide one-on-one mentorship. Our goal is to position military members, vets, and their families to thrive in the post-service lives. So my goal is that JP Morgan continues to go deep in each of these on the employment, entrepreneurship, and education front, again, to help improve the lives of military veterans.
Well, I'll tell you, we can't thank you enough for all that you do to support the program within JP Morgan Chase and for everything the company does for veterans and spouses and the entire family. I think it's just wonderful, the work that you do.
Thank you again, Larry. And for all the listeners, especially those who are CEOs of vet companies, please go to the Syracuse IDMF website and get smart about CEOcircle and apply now, because applications for the upcoming cohort close on June 12th.
Oh, so time's running out, listeners. You want to go to that webpage, the link will be in the show notes, so go ahead and check it out. I really, thanks so much for joining us, Alex. I really appreciate it.
And thank you, Larry, for having me here today.
Well, listeners, we'll have another episode next Monday morning at 0500. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. We're on YouTube and Reese Across America Radio. So until then, thanks for listening.
The Welcome Home podcast is brought to you by Willing Warriors, a nonprofit organization serving active duty service members and veterans since 2012. To learn more, please visit our webpage at willingwarriors.org.